Okay, welcome to Tuesday's Health Education. We've got a huge handout because what we're going to do, we're going to pack in a 4-day Tony Robbins seminar, our 2-day Jack Canfield seminar, 2 books by Carol Tuttle, and a couple of stuff by Coach CJ Mertz, okay, that I went to for a 5-day seminar. And we're going to do it all in 40 minutes or less. Okay, this is also an extension of the last health talk, where we're changing not just how we view things, but imagine if you could change your brain. What if you were, had a depressed attitude and you could change that attitude in a moment, okay, and you had the tools to where you could actually achieve some of the things that might be eluding you in your life. Einstein, really smart guy. He was way ahead because they started to develop quantum physics in the first part of last century. Everything is energy. All there is to match it, match the frequency of the reality you want. You cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. It's not philosophy, it's physics. And he's right. So I'm going to show you how you can actually change the vibration of your brain, change the channel of your brain in order to achieve what anyone would call success, because we all have a different definition of success. So what would you do? And this was posed to me by Coach CJ Mertz. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? I mean, how many people get like goosebumps on their back? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Oh my gosh, I'd go skydiving, okay? I'd ask, who's that gal that just got divorced from Michael? Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah. I'd ask her out. I don't think, why I could fix the bipolar. No, but you start expanding your mind where you could do anything. And this is what I want you to do, because a lot of people, we limit ourselves. Okay, and even doctors do this. Oh, you have this disease, you have 6 months to live. Most people comply. Okay, however, that's a wrong, it's not effective in expressing life. So this here, and this is one of the things when I first learned from Coach CJ, and then I also learned it at a Tony Robbins seminar, it's called, I call it the Wheel of Life. But what it does, it gives you an accurate assessment if you're honest with yourself. Okay, and what you're supposed to do is gauge yourself in every area, and you could gauge it on put any category you want. You could put spiritual health. You could put fashion sense. Okay, I would be really low. Okay, you could put anything you want. Okay, on here, and then but mark it accurately, because the way life is if you have every spoke that's even, okay, then your life is going to be rolling. And it's interesting, after one of the seminars, and I filled this out with my information. Okay, so what I did here, personal growth, I study a lot, but I should study more. Okay, fun and recreation, I'm horrible at. I mean, I'm absolutely horrible. When I wreck on my boat, I study. Okay, that's like ridiculous. Physical environment, and yeah, I'm okay with that. Business and career, I'm reasonably okay. Finances, reasonably okay. Health, I'm reasonably okay. Family and friends, I'm really high with. I got some really tight family and friends in a group. Romance, it's almost non-existent. Okay, I'm thinking of joining a monastery. So when you look at this, okay, obviously if this was a wheel, it wouldn't be rolling nice. Okay, so I've got areas to work on, so does everybody. But if you do this on a regular basis, you can actually refine. And I'm going to show you tools actually to get this. The 2 things that you do have in this, because you could say, well, she left me, or well, it's the economy, or well, it's this. No, you got 2 things that you can do. You can make a decision. You have a choice, okay, and you have the power to make a decision. But what stops us usually is fear. Okay, and this is one of the things that was brilliant, because I always think, well, just deal with your fear, get over it. The fear never goes away. I learned this at a Tony Robbins seminar, and that was like a light bulb going on. Wait a second. You mean I'm always going to have this fear? And my dad told me about it years ago, okay? Because here I was, a tough kid in junior high school, and I had this scared feeling in my gut because of bullies, okay? And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a coward. Okay, and my dad, who went through World War II and everything, he says, no, a brave man and a coward have that same scared feeling, just the brave man doesn't let it affect him. He goes in and gets the job done even having that fear. I thought, cool, I'm a brave, tough guy, even though I got that scared feeling. So the fear doesn't go away, but it also stops us from me asking Catherine Zeta-Jones out. Okay, it stops you from doing things like that. So what stops us? And this is huge, because you gotta, if you're gonna make a change, you gotta have the incentive. Okay, so now can you make somebody stop something if they don't want to? No, shake your head, yes. You can. You just gotta find the right incentive. Okay, you get somebody that's a chronic smoker, you put a gun to their head, they're probably going to stop. Okay, that's temporarily. I don't care. I'll hold the gun there. Okay, so you got to find the right motivation. So when you look at this, you got the decisions bold. It's almost like a dance. Okay, what you really want, hold on what you have. What you really want, hold on what you have. Okay, and this dance goes on inside of your brain for years. Okay, and here's the gun to your head to make that decision. What does it cost you if you hold on to that bad relationship for 5 years? What's your life going to be like in 10 years? Okay, if you hold on to that lifestyle where you're not healthy, what's it going to cost you in 5 or 10 years if you don't ever take a vacation, if you don't change your lifestyle, stay in the career that you don't like? What's it going to cost you? So this way, you've got this dance between what you want and holding on to what you have. I've got a couple of patients that are in horrible relationships, and they're staying in it because of the kids or something. Imagine going home to a home that's not comforting or warm or loving. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare. Okay, so what's it going to cost you? So when you look at this, a lot of people stay in crisis because it's rewarded, okay? And because you could say it, well, why do you have this ache, this pain? Well, it's not my fault. It's a genetics. It's a condition, and you're told this by society. How come you're not financially successful? Oh, it's the economy. Okay. I got this one little 8-year-old girl from San Francisco. She comes down with lupus. And she comes in and she said, well, I asked her parents, I said, well, what do you think caused it? They said, oh, it was the sand in the sandbox. And I said, so was everybody in the sandbox? Did they all get lupus? No, just me. And I said, well, honey, I don't think it was just the sand. Let's find out what's going on. Luckily, she recovered. But when you look at this, why you've got to know that you're rewarded by staying in crisis in a lot of circumstances. So to change that reward, see, this is all self-talk. If you're diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and you're in the current medical system, which is the leading cause of death in America, okay, if you're in that, then they're going to tell you your outcome. If you have any type of disease or diagnosis, they're going to tell you what the predicted outcome is. So you can stay in this or you can change. Now, one of the ways that you can do, and we're going to cover a lot next week, is communication. It's called nonviolent communication, but it's also a method of listening, which is kind of unique, where if you're feeling something when you're going into a relationship or when you're communicating, the other person more than likely is feeling the same thing. Okay, and so you always have the self-talk when you're talking to someone. Like, let's say you go up and you see a guy with dirty clothes, tattoos, smells, leaning up against the side, twirling a knife. Are you going to say, hey, hi, friend? You're an attractive man. I like the tattoos. No, you're not going to say that because you're going to go up to him with certain prejudices, okay? And you're going to think, and we do this because, from the animal kingdom, you first look at someone and you have to judge. Is that a safe person? Is it not a safe person? So a lot of people get into this habit of where you're judging people and you're thinking, everybody with a red shirt has just been so rude, okay? And so what's that going to do? It's going to affect your relationship with everybody in the red shirt. Okay. No offense, red shirt. But what's cool is to relate to that person, even though, that he's not a tattooed, guy, homeless guy swinging a knife. Okay. The guy in the red shirt's not rude. I'm rude. Okay. The gal in gray sweater, she never listens. No, I never listen. Okay, so this way you get a chance to break open, you get some humility, and then you can actually connect with the other person. Because anything that you're feeling, they're feeling as well. So this is just a really, really cool method, and we're going to expand on that. Now, stopping the limiting beliefs, it's like changing the radio station. I know we covered this a little bit last week, but if you know that you can change yourself, and you can change, and we're going to talk about how to change the state, but I mean, you've all been watching, like, say, a movie, like a Chuck Norris movie. Okay, he's kicking butt, the bad guys are falling, he's beaten up, then all of a sudden, the Hallmark commercial comes on. Okay, how fast does it take you to change your state, change your emotional pattern? Almost immediately. That's because what you're doing, you're switching from K-Earth, okay, to 92.3 The Beat. Okay, you're changing that. So if you have the ability, if the advertisers have the ability to change your state, to change that frequency, I'm going to show you methods to change it yourself. Now, changing the channel. Now, I know the print's too small on this, but I just want to read the top part. This is a lot of self-talk that people go through. I never finish anything. This pain is killing me. They don't listen. I mean, how many times have you told this? Okay, now what's interesting, I was at a seminar, and this is with Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, and this is a seminar in Santa Barbara about 7-8 years ago. And, Santa Barbara, nice community, okay, upper middle income, probably about 200 people in there, and, all, doctors, professionals, really nice crowd. And so he goes in there and he says, think of a mistake you made, okay, nothing major, just a minor, you turn left when you turn right, you spill milk or something. How did you educate yourself for that mistake next to it? And I'm thinking, okay, well, and how do you educate yourself? And out of this room of professional people, do you know what they said? Stupid, you do it every time. How can you do this? And it's just like, oh my gosh. And his point, we're going to cover this next week more, but if you're that violent to yourself, how are you going to be with your interaction with others? So this was like a light bulb. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because we're taught from a little kid, no, don't do that, put that down, no, go to bed now, you can't do that. You're not taught. I mean, we've got a huge kids area, and what I usually do is say, hey, play with that. And they look and they go, yeah, I'm a permissive doc. You're supposed to play with that. You're supposed to have fun. So any of this stuff, any of your self-talk that you're about yourself or about others, they never listen, it's killing me or anything else, ask yourself these 3 questions, because this is going to be huge. Is it true? Is this pain killing me? No, it's uncomfortable. It hurts. It's burning. It's here. Okay. Does she never listen? Well, no, she actually said yes to being engaged. That was pretty cool. I asked her. She must have heard that part. So no, she listened sometimes. Okay. So could it be a misinterpretation? So this is going to change your brain from that prejudicial statement of the self-talk. And then, do you have all the necessary information? Is this pain killing me? Is the business failing? Is this? Find out what the truth is. What do you feel like when you behave like? What do you behave like? What do you become when you have this thought? When you have this thought of this pain is killing me, or they don't listen, or they're never there for me, okay? And you could feel that it's like a dark feeling inside of you. It limits you, and when having that dark feeling inside, you can't connect with the other person. And not just limiting in health, but it's limiting in everything. How do you feel like when you have this incurable disease of fibromyalgia, or if I just had a patient, 9 different prescriptions, and he's afraid to give me the list because he knows I'm going to tell him what the drugs are doing and how to get off of it. You know what he said? The drugs are keeping me alive. I'm 68 years old and I'm really healthy. And I'm going, buddy, dude, I got people in their 80s that are windsurfing. We got to get you healthy. So So what do you feel like when you lock in that thought? Now this takes a bit of honesty, and this right here is huge, because this is going to tell you, what do you feel like when you look that you don't recreation enough? Okay, when you don't vacation enough, what do you feel like? You know, and what does it cost you to maintain those thoughts? What's it going to cost you 5 years from now? What's it going to cost you 10 years? So this is huge. Now, if the thought didn't exist, how would you behave? How would you like life? Okay, if you felt that all people in red shirts were mean, what if you turn that around? All people in red shirts are loving and kind and beautiful. I'm in love with this guy now. Okay, every woman wearing a gray shirt, here's my soul. Wow. I know, isn't that beautiful? So you can change it. I mean, this gal, I changed the name to protect her. She came in 68 years old, okay, and if you can imagine, hair done up, makeup done up, perfect, okay, hurting like crazy, 9 different prescriptions, okay, you know, bad scoliosis. She has a stair chair that carries her upstairs, multiple trips to Hoag Hospital, okay, I mean, just miserable health. She comes in, I'm the first chiropractor she's ever seen. I know I can help her. Okay, this is actually her post x-ray at 9 months, okay? And I adjust her. So now I'm adjusting bones in a horrible scoliotic person with the worst diet and the worst medication. Do you think that first adjustment was comfortable or a little uncomfortable? She comes in the second visit, I'm done. I'm never seeing you again. Okay, and it's just like, her husband was there, God bless him, okay, said, honey, you know, if you keep going down this path, you know the end. You know what the end road's going to be. Okay, give Bergman a shot. Okay, well, luckily, you know, she did. She got rid of the stair chair, and she showed these x-rays to her orthopedic surgeon. Says, yes, it did get better. It can't get better. It will get worse. I know, but what was his limiting beliefs? He doesn't realize that the discs are alive, that they can't regenerate. He doesn't look at human beings. So his limiting beliefs are horrible. And that's what we're faced with in society. Now, this is out of Tony Robbins. And it's fun to change your life. You've got to first change the mental state you're in. And then, because everybody wants to do the strategies. Okay, you know, how do I become wealthy? How do I meet that right person? How do I get this career? No, that's the last part. In fact, that's the part that just falls into place. Too many people are doing this backwards. What you got to do is first change the state. Just like Einstein said, if you change that state inside of you, you change what you're attracting towards you, you change your perception of what you're looking at, then you change life. Okay, and then you change your life, you change the world. Does that make more sense? Yeah, so changing the state, that takes an instant. Again, you've got the karate movie followed by the Hallmark commercial. How long does it take to change your state? The advertisers know this, a heartbeat. Okay. The story change, I actually have this in your notes, but I'm going to show you it. Okay. How to change your self-talk. There's certain methodologies to it. So I'm going to give you the tools. And then the strategies, that's also methodologies. So first off, changing your state. It's a 1 millimeter difference, depression to happy. And I know this was hard, okay? But it's part of neurolinguistic programming where if you change your body state, you're going to change everything. Okay, now, what I want you to do while you're sitting in your chair, anybody in here ever have a pet they love died? Yeah. Okay, feel that right now. How do you feel about that? Okay, or a relative died, or sad, depressed. Okay, what's your body posture like? Okay, and now, when Tony Robbins does this, he walks people through for about an hour. Okay, and I mean, at the end of this, I'm crying, I'm feeling, God, I wish there was a bus I could step in front of. Okay, but what happens? Okay, you get this like weight of the world, you get your body posture. And this is a key, because if you understand what body posture is depression and anxiety, your brain is like a battery and it gets its charge through the position and motion of the vertebrae, but also the proprioceptive firings, the neurology of your body's position. Okay, now, what I want you to do in that depressed state, what do you feel like? Now, imagine you just won the lottery. Catherine Zeta-Jones said yes, okay? Okay? what do you feel like? You just found out your book hit #1 bestseller. You're feeling like, you got that ultimate dream job. Oh my gosh, people love your veggie burning car finally. Wait, I'm revealing too much. Okay. No, but how do you feel? Feel like you just won the lottery. What do you stand like? Okay, I mean, obviously your chest is open. You can get more oxygen. Your head's up. Your shoulders are back because you're proud of yourself. Okay, so the difference between depressed and happy, what is that? It's just like 1 millimeter. That's all it is. But if you could change that and realize it also, body posture, tone, breathing. Okay, intonation is everything. So when you say this, if you want to change your state, and let's say you want to do like an affirmation. I'm happy. The world is full of abundance. Everything's flowing to me. I feel wonderful.
Doesn't look like you, Jim.
I ain't feeling it either. Okay, but then put your body posture in a position that you're supposed to. And this, I can do it during the day. In fact, I meditate 4 times a day. This is how I start the meditation. When I get in the car, God help anybody driving next to me. I'm sitting up like this. I'm connected to the healing power of energy. God's energy flows through me into my patients. Everybody I touch receives this energy. And I get out of the car like that at 4:30 in the morning. I'm excited. Okay, but that's what I mean. It's the intonation, the body language, the breathing. You get those 4 aspects down, and it's vital. And when you look at this was one of the, Tony Robbins calls them incantations. Affirmations is saying, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm vibrant. Okay. An incantation is, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy. Oh, wow. So there's a difference there. Okay, because of the breathing and the intonation. Okay, it really, you're even getting it and you're 4 feet away. Okay, so when you look at this, it's vital. Okay, and you could even tell too. I mean, there's whole courses on how to read body language. Now this is in your notes. Okay, but these are 5 steps, because what can you do to change your self-talk? And I got it right here. Now the beauty of this is you've got to, this gives you the tools. First off, see whatever it is that you want to change as it really is. She left me, my life is over. No, she just left. That's cool. Okay. It was probably pretty good. I got a lot more chances now. Okay, so, or the market crashed, it's devastating. No, the market lost value. Okay. Has a bunch of times in the past, everything else. I got to tell you, in 1982, here I'm 22 years old, borrowed myself up to the teeth, okay, to build a home. And I built it on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. So I'm in debt like you can't believe. 22 years old, I own nothing. Interest rates jumped to 12%. That's prime. Okay, my construction loan was 2 points above prime. 22 years old, 2 points, that's over $100,000 at credit card interest. And I'm a contractor, and I make about $15 an hour. So it's like, oh, damn. Okay, but then again, see it as it really is, not worse, not better. I have a construction loan at 14% interest. I'm 22 years old. Damn. Okay, not my life is over, there's no way we can do it. Actually, I ended up pulling it out, so it was good. I ended up keeping the house for a while. But look at it, whatever the situation is that you want to change, as it really is. No worse, no less. Be honest with yourself. And then get real and deal with it. About 15 years ago, I had a patient. He was a carver for a printing company. He would actually carve things, and I forget what he used, some type of plastic material, where he would carve these blocks into these signs, and then they would use that to print. When they came out the 3D printer, he was done. His job of 40 years was not there. How would you like to be in the vinyl record business? Your grandpa was in the vinyl record business, your great-grandpa. In fact, for the last 100 years, you were making vinyl records, and CDs come out. Okay, you see it for what it is. At 55 years old, that guy Carbon, he has to look at this. He's too early to retire. Some people would think too old to train. Okay, He actually ended up buying a sign company and changing his world completely around. So it was kind of neat. But he didn't look at his life was over. And then you got to get a vision. Okay, this is step 3. The vision has to do with vision boards and your potential. That's everything, what you can do. Step 4 is find a role model. Now this is hard. This is going to be one of those light bulb moments. You can either find somebody that's done what you've done. Like let's say you're going to go build a practice. Okay? Find somebody that's successful. I once heard of a guy seeing 1,400 people a week, okay, as a chiropractor. I thought there's no way. There's no way. Poor quality, sloppy work. Okay, there's no way he could do that. He probably doesn't take post x-rays. So I go to see him. I fly 2,000 miles, okay, to Texas. No direct flights to Amarillo, by the way. And I go there and I find out this guy is brilliant. He cares. He gets as good or better changes on x-ray than I do. He's got the same patients where they're going in there, oh, like this, it's like, oh my God, that's the same patient. Okay, so his better communication, he was doing what I do better. Okay, had a much more efficient staff. It just blew me away. So find somebody you're going to do. Or, and this is the big one, use yourself as a role model. Let's say you're in the worst, darkest, deepest hole you could ever imagine. Like when you look at this wheel here, you're low on every one. Okay, you're in deep trouble. Let's say that you want to turn it around. Use yourself as a role model. What crises have you overcome in the past? Okay, like for myself, I was literally run over by a car, I had both my legs broken. I thought that was a pretty big crisis. That beautiful house I had, okay, I lost it. Okay, I couldn't afford to keep it because my legs were broken. I took every ounce of cash I could and I put it in to school so I could get it, because I found out that since I'd been out of school for so long, I didn't qualify for student loans. Now here I am, okay, I just signed up for school, I'm all set for student loans, and they said, no, you don't qualify for student loans for 5 more months. Or no, until the 5th trimester, which is like a year and a half into school. And like, wait a second, I got enough cash to make it through about 9 months. I got to do this for a year and a half? Okay, say it with me. Damn. So here I am, single dad, 2 kids. I move in a storage unit for 9 months. A storage unit, me and 2 kids. It's kind of fun. My kids now are 20 and 27. They called it the Bergman Cave. We've got a couple of pictures of it. I was about as miserable and low as you could possibly imagine. Okay? In fact, my son was all excited. He says, no, Dad, there's tons of room. He stands on the bed. The roof was this high in the storage unit. I couldn't stand up. He says, no, look at all the room. And he's jumping up on top of the mattress, which was on the floor, and he hits his head on the ceiling. So was that a crisis? Well, not really. It's just like a stepping stone. Now the kids are just happier and heck, and my boat's bigger than the storage unit. Okay, what's the toughest time in your life? Because by being alive, you had tough times, and you made it through. Where did you find that strength? What did you do? How did you change your focus? Use yourself as an example. People forget that you're a brilliant being, that to just have made it this far, my gosh, you've done some amazing things. And then what pulled you through? Ask yourself these questions. And this is where you got to be honest to yourself. Was your life really good before? Okay. I met this beautiful girl. I was 17. She was much older. She was 19. Okay. 2 weeks, we moved in together. 10 years later, we get divorced. Okay. I was devastated. But now, at the end of that year, like 9, 10, in my brain, were we really that happy, or were there some challenges? What do you think? Challenges. But when we broke up, it was perfect, man. It was just so bad. No. Be honest with yourself, okay? Because it is. It's true. And was your life better than that crisis? I can honestly say yes. No matter what challenges you've been through, the hottest, the best, strongest steel is formed from the hottest fires. And then the last one is give more than you receive. It seems too simple, but coming from generosity. It's not happy people who are thankful, it's thankful people who are happy. And that's honest to God true. So when you look at it, it seems too simple, but these are ways to change your self-talk. See it as it really is, no worse, no better. Get to the real truth and deal with it. Be honest with yourself. Get a vision and make sure it's strong. Make sure it drives your passion there. Get a role model, and I'd recommend using yourself, because there's nobody better than you. Okay? And give more than you receive in everything. I mean, you figure in the beginning of a relationship, if somebody says, hey, honey, will you take out the trash? Oh, sure. I get points for just taking out the trash. Oh, God, yes, I'm honored. You know, you're the knight in shining armor. You're taking care of your sweetheart. At the end of a relationship, honey, will you take out the trash? What, am I your slave? You can take it out. You're closer to the door. Okay, no, you got to give more than what you're getting. I mean, this gal here, she had a tumor, a 3-month-old fetus and a tumor the size of a grapefruit. If she went along with the medical doctor, she would not have that child. Okay, she comes into a doctor that has a different vision, and she developed a different vision. Okay, so it's a belief system and her view of human potential. You can't control the event. You can't control the tumor. You can't control the cancer. You can't control your response. We just had a patient who's been with us 6 weeks. Blood test shows absolute liver cancer. The ultrasound showed absolute tumor growth in the liver. They haven't done a biopsy yet. He gets immediately on, changes his lifestyle, where he's doing about 60 ounces of vegetable juice a day. We got him on vitamin C IVs, radically altered his diet. He's now getting direct sunlight exposure, and we're adjusting him 3 times a week. His daughter comes to me this weekend and said, this is amazing. Nobody understands it. His blood test is normal. I know, but what's his potential? What's his thought pattern? Does he own that cancer diagnosis, or does he say, hey, this is just temporary, my body's going to recover? So you are in control of your response. This guy here, 69, MS, multiple sclerosis. If you have multiple sclerosis when you're 69, you're not looking forward to 70. He just showed me Monday that he could tie his shoes. He no longer needs to buy shoes with Velcro because he can actually feel and tie them. This is the first time in like 5-6 years he could do that. I mean, that's huge. This is where remember, step 3, you got to get a big vision. You got to get a vision board. Okay, and this should be done yearly. Okay, and this is on the back half of the sheet. I recommend going to Google Image or Bing Image, whatever you want. You type in wealth and look at every cool picture you got. Okay? Because we're not going to get magazines anymore. Magazines and scissors, no, we go to Google Image, okay? And type in everything that you want. And look at this, because this is going to change your mind and get your vision set up different. If you are in a relationship and it's a bad relationship, or you don't like going home, or it's not exactly what you want, do the 90-day challenge. For 90 days, now I know you've done about the 30-year challenge. And it's working for you. Do the 90-day challenge where you treat your spouse just like they're the greatest person, most wonderful, most marvelous. And what's going to happen? They're going to either respond and you're going to have the greatest, tightest, most wonderful, adoring, spectacular relationship, or you can leave with your head high. I mean, it's a fantastic trick. We're also going to go over next week on nonviolent communication. This is another tool to do that vision. Write down 100 things to do, be, or become. This is such a way to expand your mind. And I mean, you're going to get the first couple really easy, but when you get to 68, 79, 83, you're going to be coming up with some crazy stuff. And I mean everything. I mean, how many people want to, learn Mandarin? Hike the Great Wall of China backwards. Okay, I mean, you're going to come up with some crazy stuff. I know it's possible. But then next to each one on this list of 100, you put a 1, a 5, or a 10 year next to each goal, and whether you're going to do it in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years. So this way, and you do this to give you a basis for this. So you're not just dreaming, you got a pattern. And you got a pattern for the vision. And you got a pattern because on this one, on step 3, you got to come up with a vision. A lot of people are missing that creative bone. This is the stimulus. This is what you do to get that vision for the ultimate health or wealth or whatever you want. The affirmations, make sure they're positive. Okay, make sure they're present tense. Okay, this is so important that you're affirming. that you don't say, oh, I want less bills. No. Body posture, intonation. I live in a world of abundance. It just flows to me. It's amazing. I can take care of my whole family and my patients. You know, make it. So those are the tricks. Those are the tools. What you actually need, you need healthy nerve supply to do this all. Okay, you need regular exercise. But we've showed you that the prayer and meditation, this is part of it. This is changing your mindset. This is gold. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and it's in every aspect of your life. And keep doing this, because it was fun about 7 years ago when I went to, it was called Camp CJ for CJ Mertz. At the beginning of it, my wheel looked horrible. Okay. At the end of 5 days of doing this and focusing in on it, I came up to Coach CJ and I hugged him and I said, buddy, my wheel's round. Now it's close to round. There's just like one flat spot. But next week we're going to talk about nonviolent communication, a method of listening that you will not, it's so beautiful, simple, but complex. It's the way you doctors are going to need to communicate with your patients. It's listening beyond the words. Okay? Thank you very much.